Well, 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 look at this. How beautiful. We've just came over to the Hyena Den and we've got our little terrific trio here. Mum, our 6-month-old cub, and our little friend. He's a fantastic little cub and he's becoming really, really adventurous and quite confident. He's come down to the bottom of the hill and all the team were talking about it. Look at this guy, he's come right up to the front of my vehicle here. Can't even see the young 6-year-old now. He's coming right round the side of my vehicle. He's just beyond the front of the vehicle, having a good old sniff. Beautiful condition, this 6-month-old cub. And then our little friend, our little character. He's got a piece of elephant dung there, which just seems to be a bit of a play toy. They've been rolling around in it and using it and playing with it like a ball. It's quite incredible to see. And all of these things, as Jamie was saying yesterday, is so important for the developing their bones and their muscles and their ability to sort of interpret things in their surroundings. You should have seen when we turned up earlier, just our scent. They all put their noses in the air and all had a bit of a big sniff of us, and it's just great to see the interaction. The youngsters have gone on the other side, and this is Mum we're looking at right now. And here comes the 6-month-old, and here's the baby at the top, just to the right of screen there. He is such an adorable little creature. It's such a beautiful place. It's just give you a little bit of background of where we are. It's a termite mound that it would have been excavated more than likely by an aardvark and then potentially used by warthog or a myriad of other creatures. But then hyena will come into a den site like this and excavate a little bit more. The mother will go down and have her cubs in that den, and eventually, it gets to it gets to a point where the dens, they have several dens that they'll use over a period of time, and sometimes they become infested with parasites, but they eventually move on to another den and then come back to different dens. So we've got several dens on the reserve that we know they use. I've got a question from Sharon in Pittsburgh. Sharon, welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. And your question's a really interesting one about whether the mother has to worry about other females taking over the highest rank or the matriarchal rank. It would definitely have to happen at some point, but it's not like lion when a male lion will come in and dispose of, for want of a better word, or kill all the cubs. There will be it's a very, very intricate system they have, or social system. So, she is the highest ranking female at this point. She has control over this den site. She would be very protective. Males always take the back seat. So if there was other females that were lower ranking to her and supported her, they would protect her as well from most situations that occurred when it came to a dominancy type of situation. But you know what? She would fiercely protect this area, fiercely protect her cubs. And she would have the support of other females in that. So at this point in time, I'd say at the den with the cubs, she has a very, very strong position. When it comes to those cubs growing up, and maybe splitting off from the clan for one reason or another, whether it's food availability or an altercation with another predator, there may be a takeover of some description. But at the moment, she is top ranking hyena, and that's the way it'll stay around this den site for sure. But great question from you, and thanks very much for being on board with us this morning. These are beautiful. I just might take a few images here, folks, because it's such a beautiful, beautiful location. So Nicole, it's a great question you have, and welcome aboard to you as well. When will the baby get his spots? Well, you can see, it's not often, well, you do see it sometimes, but we've got a great display here of an adult female. We've got the 6-month-old, and we've got the youngster. And your question is, when will she develop, the cub develop spots? And Mum's coming right down here. Hello, Mama. Nicole, I'm definitely coming back to your question. I'm just looking at this lovely interaction we're having here with this mother. She is so close, folks. She's only like, I'd say 5 to 7 feet in front of our vehicle. She's going to lie down right there. Hello, Mama. Oh, she's delightful. Such perfect condition. So close to us. And Nicole, you want to know when the baby's going to get its spots? Well, you can see with her, the brother up just above her there, or brother, sorry, I'm not sure. It may be a female, actually, that cub, I'm not sure. I can't quite see. And it's very difficult, as you know, with the genitalia of hyena. Look at this there. She's got the little baby. Now, this is really important for the baby to be able to deal with situations like that, the little cub. It was a little bit of full-on play, but Mummy's down here. It just fell down the hole. Bum's down right in front of us. But, you know, that little cub is going to have to deal with situations like that in the times growing up. The older sibling is playing a bit rougher than we've seen normally, but it's very important. And that cub will get start to get its spots, start to see traces of spots, or the beginning of the spot pattern happen in about probably 2 to 3 months. And then as it gets on, as that 6-month-old is there, you start to see the spots are well developed. The hair's a little bit longer on the cubs. And then as the time goes on, it starts to wear off a little bit, and particularly on the sides of the body where the animal lies. It's normally the longest hair is along the spinal column above the neck, and it's so beautiful to see this interaction. But great question. Thank you very much, Nicole. So sort of about 3 months, you'll start to see traces of the spots, and then it'll start to develop towards 6 months, like the cub we've got up there, the older one of the two. Mia, we've got a great question from you, Mia. You're only 6 years old, and I tell you what, that's a fantastic question to be asking, and I'm so glad you're watching. We've got your question is, can the little baby, the little cub fall down the termite mound or the hill that he's on? Absolutely, he can, but you know what, it wouldn't hurt him. He's probably been pushed down there by his brothers and sisters, or his mum accidentally. I've seen him fall down the hole a couple of times, which has been quite amusing to see. But Mia, he'd be absolutely fine. He wouldn't hurt himself. Very, very strong creatures, even at this age, and he can withstand a bit of rough and tumble like that. But great question, Mia, and lovely to have you on board this morning on Safari Live, my friend. I can't believe, Mia, I'm talking to you live from Africa. This is really special stuff. Great to have you, buddy. Such a beautiful location where we are, folks. It's hyena paradise. Coda, great to have you on board, Coda, and you've got a very, very interesting question as well. But I want to also say, Coda, if you asked the question last night about the length of leopard teeth, I didn't quite get to you, Coda. I was going to answer that question for you in the tent and show you a tooth. Maybe this afternoon I might do that for you, buddy. If you're watching later on in our afternoon show, wherever you are, and you can afford to do that, that would be great. And I'll show you the length of a leopard's tooth, my friend. But it was a great question. Now, your question this morning with us, Coda, is how many are in the clan? Because we see a few here and there, and we see some animals coming in, and it's a greet. But Coda, I think there's about probably 6. That's the number that I've seen at this den site. And of course, the mother's got to stay here a little bit more than she would if she didn't have a cub. So close. I parked up in this spot this morning just because I thought they were going to stay up on the hill, but now they're so close to us, so I actually might have to move back, but I don't want to scare them by starting the engine. But Coda, really great question. I think there's about 5 or 6, and they'll be out at the moment, probably looking for food and spending time at maybe another den or another location. But at the moment there's only 3 here, and the mother's staying here obviously to spend time and suckle her young and grow her little cub there, and then she'll go off and hunt. But yesterday, Coda, we saw a really interesting thing. She gave the special word. He's come right close to us. She gave the special word to send her cub down into the den, and as soon as she did that, the cub disappeared, and off she went off into the bush to hunt or to scavenge and get some food, because she's got to produce milk for her cubs, so she still has to go out there and get food. She definitely spends a lot of time here with them, Coda, and a very, very good mother she is. Great question, Coda. Lovely to have you on board this morning, mate, and again, talking to you live from Africa is one of the best things on the planet for me. So the morning in this cool time will be spent playing and exercising, and every single bit of play that the animals, get my camera out of the way there for you. Every single bit of play is don't know if you can see how close they are to us. This is the closest this little guy has come. Hello, my boy. This is absolutely superb. And what's happening here, folks, is something very, very special. Many of you may know this, but it's a word called habituation. And what we're doing here is very important for these animals to know that we're no threat to them. And that way we can get this close, and us and other visitors that come to the reserve can have the same sort of, sorry, my head in the way there, the same sort of interactions as we're having, which stays with you forever. These interactions that we're having with these animals, I never forget this. This is probably my most interactive or special sighting of hyena that I've ever had. Hey, my boy. He is right at the front of the vehicle, and as I said, folks, I can't really start the vehicle and move back or startle them. And it's another thing with this this habituation process that we do with the animals. If they were up on the termite mound there and I started the vehicle, the mother might just lift her head, but she wouldn't be concerned about that whatsoever. Those birds up there that Andrew's just spotted are a fantastic little species, comical little species called a fork-tailed drongo. And they're often around hoofed animals, particularly elephant and buffalo walking and animals that are grazing, because what happens is a lot of the big hoofed animals will disturb insects on the grass or on the trees that they're feeding from, and these birds will capitalise on that, or these birds will be able to utilise that situation and dart off into the breeze and catch species of insect on the wing. It's a great little relationship, so you often see them. They're just resting up there at the moment. Deborah, we've got a question from you about... I am so close, Deborah, I'm sorry. I'm going to take the opportunity to move back when I can, but I don't want to startle them, as I said. And Deborah, your question is whether you hyena eat grass or other vegetation like dogs or cats do, maybe to aid a digestive process, or we have this sort of understanding that dogs sometimes eat grass if they're feeling ill or there might be a problem digestively with them. I've never seen hyena eat vegetation. I'm sure they probably do at some point. Their animals are incredibly smart, and after millions of years of evolution, and they would be utilising every part of their environment. And I'm sure there's different species that they do ingest in times when they might have a stomach problem or a stomach upset. But I've never seen it myself. Unfortunately, but thanks for your question and thanks for being on board this morning on Safari Live. I might try and look that up for you, and maybe I can answer that in the safari tent this afternoon. And if you try and send it... Now that was interesting. Did you see that? Isn't that fantastic? So Mum just told the little six-month cub to back off a little bit. He was getting a little bit boisterous with the other younger cub. And there's some lovely behaviour going on right here. Just like we would do in a family with a teenage older or older brother, playing a little bit roughly with a baby. Lovely vocalisation. Hello, Mama. Lovely vocalisation here, and just behaviour that you can see. She wants to reprimand him, and he's like, "It wasn't my fault. I was just playing." She's going to go back up into her regular spot, looking after her youngster. Look at that. So just like us in a family, Mum looks after baby, reprimands the older brother and says, "Settle down, that was a little bit rough." Oh, it's just magic, isn't it? So he's sulking down the bottom now after getting a little bit of a reprimand from Mum. Folks, while we've got them up there and the babies, the cubs, I keep saying the baby, but I'm the youngster. It's funny, you slip into terminology sometimes, but the cub is just on the other side. Just see what happens here. Look how the wide berth that this 6-month-old's taken around Mum. Mum hasn't forgotten. I think she's still going to give him a bit of a taste of. Yeah, she's not happy with him. Very interesting behaviour. So very protective Mum. She might lay there relaxed. She knows the level of play that is acceptable, and she's going to reprimand that 6-month-old cub at some point. just quickly, before we go across to Brent for an update, I just want to show you, whilst they've gone behind, the foot or the paw print of a hyena. And I think it's really interesting to know. We often drive along the road and we look out the over the edge of the car, and we see this print quite often, which can look a little bit like a leopard print at some points. But the giveaway is this: the claws. These non-retractable claws that we do get an impression from on the road is the determining factor on whether we follow it as a leopard or we know that it's hyena. And it is because their claws don't retract like a cat, and the cat's claws, only cat that doesn't have a retractable or fully retractable claw is the cheetah. So you'll get a similar sort of paw print or imprint on the ground with those nails. But that's just to show you that we always know it's a hyena by these 4 claws, and this is a brown hyena, just to give you a comparison. But I'll show you some more of these paw prints later on. At the moment, I think the best thing for us to do while the hyenas have gone and we reposition. Well, if there's anyone that's going to find that cat, Tingana, it's going to be Brent Leo Smith. I call him the Bloodhound, and he is incredible when he's looking for those cats, so fingers crossed. We're not going anywhere. This is just too special. It's very rare that you get to have an interaction with a den like this, and the comfortable sort of attitude or the habituated animals that we've got with us. So this is a really, really special time for us folks, and I'm sure many of you are experiencing it like we are live here from Africa. And to see the 6-month-old playing with the cub and the mother so content and so comfortable with us here is just so special. So we had the mum settled. I think she's forgotten about the reprimand for the 6-month-old. But I have to say, the little cub, the real youngster, he's pushing the boundaries a little bit with his brother or sister. He's been on the back of the other one, just biting into the neck and showing lots of display actually that he will use in his later life. Now remember folks, I'm calling the little cub a he just for ease of operation, not really sure of the sex of it. It's just that I've started calling it a he, so we don't really know, but it's just easy to talk about like that. So beautiful. The light's changing a little bit. We're getting a little bit of penetration from the sun now, breaking through the cloud. The light should be magic on these animals. And the world, the explorable world for this little cub is, everything is new to it. It's just seen I think it was a dung beetle that flew down, probably by accident, into the den, and he's just looking down into the den hole now. And it's all about exploring and learning for this little cub. I think we touched on it the other day, and it's quite a violent little situation that happens down in the den site. They normally have 1 to 2 offspring. It's the newborns weigh about approximately 3 pounds, about that, and that sort of down in that den site when they're born, there's a very, very fast dominancy battle that occurs, and she may have just had 1, but sometimes when they have 2, the dominancy starts within the first 24 hours, and one will highly overpower the other one and often kill the other one. So hence you get the strongest surviving, and I think that's what we see here, this tenacious little character who is the most successful cub that we've had. Beautiful creature. Maylene, we've got a great question from you, and you're 11 years old, and what a fantastic question, and great to have you watching, matey. Your question is, do the hyenas dig the den themselves? Maylene, what happens is, this is a termite mound, and this is a very old termite mound, probably decades old, like many, many years, probably 10, 20 years, maybe even more. And the termites build this mound, and then lots of animals use termite mounds to have their homes in. And the first animal that normally makes a home in them is an animal called an aardvark, Aardvark. And if you might want to have a look up on the internet or after Safari Live and you might have a book there that shows you a picture of an aardvark. They're a nocturnal creature that's got a very, very specialised diet of eating only termites and ants. Now, they move on over time, and what happens then is that hole is it's like moving into a new home for some animals, and the new animal will come along, and it could be a warthog, or it could be another aardvark, it could be I've even seen leopard using an aardvark hole to have as a den for its cubs. And then what happens a lot of the time is hyenas find these holes perfect places for them to have their den. And they will excavate, or they will dig out some of that as well, Maylene, and they will make it a little bit bigger. Obviously, they're a bit bigger than an aardvark. But then again, I have to say, Maylene, if you look up that animal and see a picture, they are quite a big animal, aardvark, as well. Now remember that a hyena is about 160 pounds, which is quite a big animal. You could probably get mum or dad to explain to you or compare some things to you about how big that is, and then they'd have to dig that hole out to fit in there, Maylene, and then they'll have a really beautiful spot down there where she'll have her cubs. And that's the process. And when the hyena leave here, another animal might come in here. Warthogs might come back here again. So great question, Maylene. Fantastic to have you on board with us this morning, matey. And wherever you are, I hope the weather's good for you, and I hope to hear from you again. You're probably our 10th wild child this morning on Safari Live, and just makes my day to hear that kids your age are watching this. Really great stuff, buddy. You can see the mother's very alert always. She's got great ears, and we talked about it yesterday. Those wonderful, wonderful ears. And all the kids that are watching right now, if you're watching in class or you're watching at home, wherever you are, do a little thing for me now and cup your hands and put them on behind your ears, like you're making your ears bigger. We did it yesterday as well. And see if you can turn around the room or get somebody to talk to you, or maybe the teacher can talk, and everyone cup their hands and see if your hearing improves or it gets better, or you can hear the teacher or mum or dad better. And what that is you're making your ears bigger, or those areas around your ears capture the sound. Capture the sound even more, and that's what a hyena's ear is like. Beautiful big, they're like a radar dish. And they pick up the sound wave, and it gets captured in there and then goes down into the ear canal, and then it goes into a special part of your brain that processes it and turns it into a message, basically. And that's exactly when that mum lifts her head sometimes and looks over her shoulder. She's heard a sound. I probably don't hear it. You can see she's just done it then. She's looking over her shoulder. She might be smelling as well. She might be picking up a scent of something. The wind is blowing from behind us onto the hyena den. Shell, we've got a question from you. Great to have you with us this morning on this beautiful morning here in Africa. Your question is, why are hyenas' necks so long? Okay, well, it's a combination of many, many things, but we, in the tent, if you do get a chance to watch the tent, the safari tent on the television broadcast that we do this afternoon, you may see I might have a hyena skull on the table, and I can talk to you a little bit about how the muscles work on that. It carries on down the neck. The muscles on a hyena's head are some of the strongest of any of the predators in Africa. It's got the same strength or bite strength as a grizzly bear. Now it's a number called that's measured in a special scale called pounds per square inch, and the hyena's bite strength is about 1,100 pounds per square inch, which is massive for an animal of its size. But it goes down, and I'm going to quickly finish this because Brent's got something fantastic for you. But the neck, just to finish, Shell, the neck is an incredibly powerful addition to that, and allows them to bite through incredible bones, take down prey. They're a fierce predator as well, and that neck is all part of that massive muscular sized head and shoulders that allows them to be such a successful predator. Just underlines. Well, look, we're going to cross to Brent. He's got one of my favorite birds on the planet, and you better get across there quickly because they don't stick around long. We'll see you just now. Well, welcome back, guys. How fantastic is it to see that tortoise? We were just talking about leopard tortoises this morning, and Scotty's got an amazing eye out on those walks for things like that. So I just wanted to bring you up to date with what's happened here. As you can see in the beautiful image there, we've got our little cub suckling now, and just bring you up to speed with the behaviour that happened when we crossed over to Brent with those hornbills, which are really important to see those because we don't see them very often. The little cub was really wanting to suckle, and he wasn't in a good position, and Mum wasn't in a good position, and he was making these little vocalisations exactly like you would hear a domestic dog, or even though these guys aren't related to dogs, they're more like related to cats than they are dogs in the Hyenidae family. But that same sort of little whelping sort of cry, and then Mum was getting into a position for him, and it wasn't going right, and he wasn't happy, and then she lifted her back leg and allowed him to get in, and then suddenly it all just settled down, and you can see the bliss that's on her face and on his. And she will lie there. And what we're going to do is move on from here. But just a quick bit of background about what's happening. That suckling could go on for 1.5 hours. They suckle for about 6 times a day, up to about 3 months old. And after that, it trims down to about 3 times a day. And then at about 1 year of age, they start to get weaned off. Now I have seen the 6-month-old cub sneaker suckle now and again as well, so she'll be weaning him off. But it's absolutely hysterical when you see them and they are weaned fully, because there's these massive tantrums they have when Mum won't let them feed. They behave like a little child having a tantrum, and they carry on and they get really upset and they vocalise, and Mum just won't have a bar of it. She just stands her ground, and the little sort of 1-year-old has to walk around and find a little place to sulk. But what's happening right now in front of us is a beautiful weaning, beautiful suckling session. The little one has been latched onto that teat, for that nipple, for quite some time, and he'll feed for a substantial amount of time now. So what we're going to do, I think, is start to move out of here and leave them in peace. They've given us an amazing sighting this morning, absolutely beautiful encounter that I'll never forget. These are the times where Andrew and I were just talking about. These are times that you just stay with you forever, and we meet up again in time, Andrew and I will say, remember that time at the Hyena Den? It's really times like that, folks, and this is what Safari Live's all about. It's about these live interactions with you, asking questions to us. You shared that with us this morning. Every one of you on our biggest safari vehicle on the planet shared that with us. And that's one of the most special things about Safari Live. It's not like we're out here recording it and taking it back to a studio and editing it and putting a voiceover on it or anything like that. It's live. And there's nothing else like it on the planet, so it's great to have you on board. I'm going to reverse out of here, and we might go up to Buffelshoek Dam. We've got about just over an hour, 1 hour and 5 minutes to go, so we might see something. Sorry, baby. Sorry. It's okay. Just settle down again.